Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to Our Nerdiest Thing. We are live today with author Cassie Alexander. Cassie is a registered nurse and author. She has written numerous paranormal romances, sometimes with her friend Kara Lockharte. As Cassandra, she's written The Year of the Nurse, a COVID-19 Pandemic Memoir, which has appeared in The Atlantic, the mass exodus of America's healthcare workers. She has also contributed to the Huffington Post and the Journal of Patient Safety Authority. As Cassie, she has written several paranormal and fantasy romance books, including her most recent release, Bend Her, and the upcoming sequel, Break Her. She lives in the Bay Area with one husband, 2 cats, and 1 million succulents. Welcome.
I thought he was going to say $1 million. So I was like, wow, thanks for taking the time.
Oh, I wish.
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. Thank you.
Well, Cassie, I know a lot about you because I sit in your art group, and that group is one of the funnest groups I sit in, by the way, because you're so active in there, which I really appreciate. But then everyone in there like fangirls over you every time you talk. So it's really, really cute. I love it so much. So I feel like I know a lot about you, but what would you want someone that maybe has not read anything that you've written to know about you?
Oh my God. Just pitching them hard right out of the gate. There's like so many layers to this. There's like, do I give you the flippant answer? Or do I give you the deep trauma answer? And I guess that is my answer in and of itself. I do have boundaries. They're just low. I have like extreme PTSD and anxiety, but not in relation to like the writing world and stuff. It's just from like other things that have happened in my life. But so sometimes people are really excited when they see like people go on authentic emotional journeys in my book. And that's really what I try to accomplish. But a lot of those are kind of just like me exercising my demons that way.
That's awesome.
And so I guess, yeah, that's a really heavy answer for a light question. And I'm sorry, that's how I roll.
No, so if you ever listen to our podcast, we have zero boundaries. We talk about everything. I mean, I was editing an episode today, and the number of times we say dick in it, I was just laughing so hard because I was like, we should have named this episode, How Many Times Can You Say Dick?
Spoiler alert, it's a lot.
I've recently branched out into using dick in my books. Like for a long time, I was like anti-dick. It's not like I was pro-phallus or pro-member or anything else. It's really bad. I was just kind of a cock girl, I guess I should say. And so now, but I've, I don't know, just like some recent things I've been working on. I'm just like, no, dick is like a totally acceptable word to use in like sexy times when like the vibe is right. And like, especially when a male character's thinking about himself casually,
Right.
So.
He's not thinking about his member when he thinks about himself
Exactly.
casually.
Yeah.
As a reader, I appreciate that because there's nothing worse than like it being like, and then his length or then his member or like his steel was erect. And I'm like, I don't mind the word cock. I mean, I just, because if you're getting into sexy time, it's telling you what it is. Right. So I'm actually really cool with that. So
It sets the tone. Right?
It sure does.
I would really love a shirt now that says, I'm just a cock girl, I guess.
We'll put a rooster on it for you. Yeah.
That's a fantastic quote.
So you've already said, Cassie, that you do put real authentic situations in your books to deal kind of with your own PTSD and your own anxiety. So is that what led you into being an author, or how did you decide you wanted to write? Because you were a nurse first, correct?
No, actually, so I went about everything like ass backwards. So I actually became a nurse to be able to afford to be a writer. Because I've always been like super practical, and my goal in life actually was to be like Michael Crichton, right? He's like my middle school hero, and he was a doctor, but he also wrote Jurassic Park. So I was like, I'll totally do that. I'll become a doctor, and I'll get rich and retire and write. And my life didn't go like that. I went to like all the beginning of like pre-med stuff in college, but then I met my ex-husband on the internet when it was like super Sally Jesse Raphael to meet strangers on the internet.
So Mindy has you beat. Tell her how you met your husband.
I met my husband on a telephone dating service.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's impressive. That's super old school. My hat is
yes.
off. Dang, yeah. No, here I thought I was being outright because this was like in 1998. Anyways, long story short, I left school and I pursued writing as full time as I could and had a bunch of mediocre jobs. And then I was like, well, I have all these things. What can I do with them to like make some space in my life so that I can write more? And so that's when I went back to nursing school, but it was very calculated because unfortunately living in the Bay Area is super expensive. And so I needed to have a job that paid well enough that I could work part-time and still have time to write was my goal. So, but no, I always wanted to write. And I think part of that was because when I was a little kid, I had really bad eyesight, but no one knew because I was such a huge nerd. And I guess I always sat up close and stuff. But like all I did was read books. And then it wasn't until I was 9 and they did like that vision and spine check in school when they're like, oh my God, you can see nothing. And I was lucky too. Like in real life, my last name, it's not Alexander, but it's also very close to the alphabet. And so I always got to sit up at the front of the class. So that helped too. So after I had my whole like, oh my God, roofs have shingles, trees have leaves. These aren't just abstract things that I've read about moment. I think by then reading and writing, and I just kind of imprinted on it. And that's like always what I wanted to do. Like for forever.
That's awesome. So who would have known that the spine and eye check would have gotten you where you need to be today?
Pretty much, yeah.
So how old were you when you started writing and what drew you into that?
Have you guys heard of Andre Norton?
Yes.
So Andre Norton is kind of old school. And for people who like on your podcast who aren't aware of her, she like came of age as a writer during the 50s when you weren't allowed to be a lady writer. So her name had to be kind of like quasi-masculine. And so I just ripped through all of her shit at our school library that I could. And then also too, we had this assignment in like 7th grade where we had to write a famous person, which like in hindsight was probably really obnoxious. But back then, famous people were hard to find. There wasn't internet, right? So you had to like put like a lot of effort into finding them. So anyways, the librarian helped me get my letter to Andre Norton somehow. And I didn't know what to talk to her about. Like, I'm fucking 7th grade, right? So I'm just like, I know you have cats from your books because like half of her cats are about like cat aliens doing cool shit. And I was like, I have cats too. And so she wrote me back a letter, like typewriter. I still have it.
Oh my God.
So it's like, these are my cats. These are my ages and stuff. So yeah. So that kind of, she was like a very formative writer for me, and her encouragement, which was really nothing more than just a general kindness, but like it made me think like, that's really cool. That could be me someday, you know? So writing people about their cats.
Cool. Well, and I love
awesome.
that a strong feminist woman got you there too.
Oh, yeah.
Like someone that had to have an androgynous name, someone that was kind of doing things she shouldn't have been doing. And then you were like, you know what? I can be that person. I think that's really rad. That's awesome.
I'm a cat girl too, so.
And when we talk about the book, I have questions about cat aliens because there's kind of a cat alien in your book.
There is, yeah.
Well, let's talk about Bend Her a little bit. Bend Her is book 1 of 3. Is it going to be a trilogy?
Just 3. That's it. They're already written. They're already done.
Oh, I love
Nice.
as a reader, I love that.
Yes.
That's a dark retelling, really, of Beauty and the Beast. So I'm just really curious, what led you to want to do a retelling of a well-known fairy tale like that? This is going to be a fun answer. I can already tell.
Yeah, no, I've given this a lot of thought, and this sounds flippant and sarcastic, but it's actually not because it's funny. It's like people who are like jaded by like 50 Shades of Grey and all of its ilk, and people who had their sexual awakening during 1991's Beauty and the Beast animated feature. And so that's what I was just like, let's go deep there on that part of the Venn diagram.
A Venn diagram.
I am right in the middle of that Venn diagram. So that's hilarious.
Have you seen that meme going around that's like, what got me into monster romance? And then it shows like all the Beauty and the Beast and they're like dancing in the ballroom and stuff, which I never thought about it that way. It's kind of true.
Yeah.
Like if you thought he was hotter as the Beast, like that was your start in.
I did not think he was hot as the prince.
No, I thought he was hotter as the Beast.
Yeah, absolutely.
I relate. So I personally wanted to ask you about the title because it's kind of become a little like joke with us when we talk about your book. I like bend over when we talk about it. So I wanted to just know the process of choosing that title because it's a double entendre, right? Like there's some hidden meaning there, but it's also very figurative. It is literal, but it's not literal. I just wanted to know the thought process behind your title for this first book.
Yeah, so I was really lucky that my own cat beast Doesn't go about cat doors a lot of the time. Sorry.
It's a big kitty.
Yeah.
I want that on a shirt. That's a big kitty.
So I was lucky enough to just be in the shower one day, because that's what happens to writers. Like, you're in the car, you're in the shower, and I was like, this is just like how the story started, but the title came then too. I was like, man, I want to make this guy who's just like such a dick. And then I was like, but I can't really just do that, because that's not how I roll, right? I was like, I have to actually give him motivations for being such a dick. What on earth could possibly be his motivation? And so that's when I came up with like the premise for the book, which I feel okay giving away on your thing, because I pretty much give it away in the blurb, is that like he knows that this woman's going to kill him. So it's all right for him to, it's all right, you know, and like dark fantasy romance style things, that for him to be like a little bit of a jerk to her. Really. So I was in the shower and I had this, and I was like, I could just see it unfolding in my head. And I had like that book feeling that sometimes you get when you're a writer. And yeah, and then I was like, and I already know what the fucking titles are going to be like. I was like, it's going to be Bend Her, Break Her, and Make Her. And then I just rolled with it. And then people are, and you're right, it does work on a lot of levels, right? And people are kind of, you know, made fun of it, or I've heard people make fun of it and stuff. But I wanted the title to get across kind of what happens in the book, as each of the titles does in its own particular way as the series progresses. And for people to kind of think about what that title actually means in the context of the story. Like, it's one thing to come to the title and not have any knowledge of the story, and then you're like, but like if you really read the book, like it's a lot about like that push and pull between two individuals, like, you know, having like this slow burn romance. But one of the reasons why the first book is kind of slow burn and the next two are not, I swear to God, is because I knew with that title, if I made the contents too hot, that Amazon was going to dungeon me. I just had this psychic feeling. So that's one of the reasons why there's only like one super spicy scene in it, although there's like this elaborate sexual tension the whole time.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's very good.
So I was just like, okay, so, because every time I turn in the files for these books, as you know, Deborah, because you see on my group, like Amazon sits on them for 5 days, and I know they're all just like, is this secretly a kidnapping manual? What's happening in here? You know? And so I want to be able to tell them when I email them, by the way, you know, there's not even any P and V in this book, and be true when I say that. The other two books they can dungeon, I don't care, as long as the first one stays clean. So anyways, super long answer. Sorry about that.
So I do have to ask though, and you know, you and I have joked a lot in the group about the summary, right? Because I always put like what the tropes are in our reviews that we put online, and you know, if there's anything that might trigger anybody. And you were kind of teasing me because I said there's spanking in the book, but it's important to the plot. I promise. Because
yes,
it is.
yes.
I mean, that's not usually something that does it for me. And I was like, okay, I think I might like this all of a sudden. But really, I need to know, you know, the thought concept. You already said cat aliens around this supernatural sidekick that Rain has, and how you came up with that, because it is the cutest, freaking, most terrifying thing I've ever imagined in my life. And when I don't want to give anything away, but at the end where he's like, I did it, and you're like, yay! Like, you just like want to snuggle him up, but he's a fucking cat spider. That is so scary.
So I actually love spiders. I guess you guys can see like my shirt here. It's like, you know, 1950s spider and the lady in the web thing. For better or worse, one of my formative movies was Krull. I don't know if you guys have seen Krull, but there's like this elaborate like spider set in the middle thing. And I don't know, I've just always thought spiders were bitchin'. And then I know Piers Anthony is not a good person, but and I know his Xanth series is particularly problematic, but I think like the third or fourth book in there, he's got this thing where a character goes through a magical tapestry and a spider comes with him, and they have adventures together. And I really liked that book as a kid. And, you know, spiders can do a lot of cool shit that other creatures can't, that, you know, are as interesting, you know, just as a writer too, that's interesting and potentially plot useful, as you saw. So so that's why I don't know, and creepy things don't really scare me. Whatever that is like burned out of me now. So yeah.
Well, as I was reading it and you said like it has all of it, because I was thinking it was a cat, and then all of a sudden you're like, and it has 8 arachnid legs, and I was like, oh my god, wait, what? Wait, is this a spider cat?
Well, and it talks like a 10-year-old boy. That's the part that kind of,
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
what?
so endearing.
I love it.
I want one.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you do know where those actually are, we would like one,
Yes.
please.
So we know what kind of stories you like to write. Are you a strictly fantasy reader, or do you like other kinds of stories to read?
Actually, I don't read that much, and I feel like an asshole admitting that, but I'm going to do it here. It feels like a safe space. I have read a lot in my life. Unfortunately, I'm a very absorptive person, and I also have a tendency to fall into wells. So I have to be super particular about like who I write and read. Otherwise, I wind up like reading all, the first 16 of the Ice Planet Barbarian series in like 3 weeks. And then I start writing like Ruby Dixon, and that's not good for anybody. So I actually mostly read kind of contemporary romance. I read like L.J. Shen. I like her stuff, and Sierra Simone. And I realize that that's obnoxious too, because those are like the big famous people, and I should know more indie people or low hanging fruit. And I just honestly don't.
Don't apologize for what you love to read. Everybody loves what they love.
Thank you. I appreciate
seriously.
that. L.J. Shen was like my comfort read during the pandemic. Somehow somebody was all, you should read The Sparrow. And it was like April 2020. And I was like, oh my God, I love this book. And so I read like her entire backlist that whole year. It just got me through shit. So I, the most recent thing I read actually is Harley LaRue's Losers, and I loved The Dare, which was the prequel to that. And that's like a why choose with this character who has a complicated relationship with 4 guys.
That doesn't sound too complicated to me.
Sounds pretty hot.
Yeah, only 4? Yeah.
Well, now I'm going to like tell you about Harley LaRue. So The Dare you should read The Dare. It's hard to find because it got banned from Amazon because it was too hot, because there's like a knife placing in it, is my authorial guess about why it got banned. But you can find it on Eden Books, and other vendors don't care. So, anyways, if you like this prequel novella, you will like the next 2 books. But those are also contemporary in their way, even though they are like a why choose thing. So I spent a long time writing, coming from science fiction and fantasy land, and writing epic fantasy and hard science fiction. I only really pivoted to romance like in 2019 with a friend, my friend Kara Lockharte, when we started writing our Dragon Shifter series together. And she was like, these are the romance beats, you have to follow them. But that's how come all my paranormal shit is kind of like maybe oblique to romance paranormal stuff, because I'm like, if I'm going to write about an alien, he's going to be really alien. Or, I just like, I prize. Oh, shit, that's going to make me sound like an asshole. I prize novelty, but I have learned that I also have to make it comforting. Because I would send stuff to Kara and she would be like, no, you can't do this. Like nobody's ready for this. They're reading this book for these feelings, and you just can't you can't zig and then zag on people. She really taught me, I was the word monkey and she was the marketing person. And she really kind of bumper bowled me towards romance stuff and taught me that I would like it and how to write it. So
that's awesome.
That's
I love
really
to hear
cool.
that.
So are you a part of any fandoms, or what other like nerdy things do you like?
Oh gosh, I'm going to think of like 20 million when we leave here. Oh, okay. So this is possibly dumb. I'm a real big fan of the musical artist Ymir, because he writes just like amazing music. And I'm like 100% vibe writer. Like I put on these moody playlists and I listen to songs, like one individual song, like 72 times according to Spotify. And my husband's all, are you all right? And I'm like, shh, it's okay. So I'm also like a huge Muse fan. Like,
oh my gosh, Cassie, that is my favorite band of all time.
Deb and I saw them in concert.
So I had tickets to see them in Columbus 2 weeks ago, and there was a huge power outage here, and our kids had nowhere to go, and I didn't get to go. I've had those tickets for almost a year.
Oh
I was so sad, but Muse is my favorite band of all time. And talk about vibe music.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. No, Matthew Bellamy, he's just a freaking genius, right? And I have tickets for their upcoming show in Oakland, and like the nurse part of me is like, what the fuck are you thinking going to an arena show? And then like the other 98% of me is like, it's Muse. If we get COVID there, who cares? You know,
It was worth it.
Yeah. It's almost like a religious experience. It's hard to explain to people who aren't like there, but like when you, they're just so good live. But he's like genius. Anyways. So yeah, I was so jealous of Stephanie Meyer when she got to commission a new Muse song for each Twilight. I was like, itch.
Well, and as a Muse fan, I was like, that was not the right song for that. Like, I was so critical about it. I'm like, they could have played this. Like, I really wanted them to, this is super nerdy, when Bella gets turned and she's waking up, I really pictured Absolution by Muse playing, because it talks about like the lips are turning blue and like sing for this to be over and all this. And I'm like, it's going to be perfect. And she said there's this song in it. It was that fucking campy song that they did. I Belong to You. And I was like, but Absolution, did you not get through the brainwaves, the song that you were supposed to use? But of course, they wanted to use a new song out of their catalog to promote, right? But also, that song's one of the best songs on the planet. So
it is. Yeah, total missed opportunity there.
For sure.
Another thing that we love to do on this is our nerdy and dirty speed round. Favorite cocktail?
Coke Zero.
Me too.
That's a good one.
Which I mainline. Yeah. I'm not an alcohol person, not for any particular reason. My brain's already weird. I got to stay on track. So yeah.
Favorite fandom?
Mine, because they're fucking awesome.
I was going to say, yours is a great fandom.
That's a valid answer.
You know, can I just riff on that for a little bit? It's been so nice. I just am primed to always expect kind of bad things. And I've mentioned this on the group before, Deb. So like I always, I'm just like, it's a great trait to have as a nurse, because like worst case scenario, girl is really profitable at the hospital because you can see problems in advance. But in real life, it just leads to you kind of like pulling out all your own feathers like a bad parrot. So it's been really thrilling to kind of have that Facebook group where everybody is just like pretty chill. And we just talk about some books and some art. And, it's just like very low key and no drama and stuff. So I didn't realize how much I would like that once I had it. So so I hope that keeps going. So I guess that's my cheesy answer, like when people, when you ask them in job interviews, what's your worst skill? And they're like, perfectionism, or something like that. So,
I'm not going to lie. I've said that before.
Guilty pleasure?
Probably chocolate. It started in the pandemic, and I was like, fuck it. I might die. I'm going to eat a lot of chocolate.
I went with alcohol.
And more books. That's what we all did. Alcohol and more books.
Yeah, for a while there, I was buying every plant under the sun. Like my succulent garden, it still is amazing, but I had to winnow it down because I would just work overtime at work, and then I'd come home and I'd be on plant Instagram, and like plant Instagram is wild, y'all. I don't know if you've been on that.
Wilder than Bookstagram?
Oh my God. Yeah. It even has tiny like weird dramas and stuff. Not to the degree necessarily the Bookstagram does, because the stakes are much lower, but everybody, so I would just be like, I just made X amount of dollars. I'm gonna spend that much money on plants. And so I would also be on Ambien at the time. For context, I would get just like massive shipments of like fancy Korean succulents in. And so for a while there, that was kind of like my bad habit, my bad hobby. But it actually, I really enjoyed them and I needed them at the time. So I've winnowed things down so that it's more stable now, so that I don't have to be out there toiling for like 2 hours every day to keep everything alive, because some of them are like really fragile and stuff.
Book character you'd get nerdy and dirty with?
I don't even remember what his name is, but I really like the protagonist in LJ Shin's The Kiss Thief, because he really is like such he's just like the pinnacle of asshole, and yet somehow she like brings it back around. So, yeah.
Team Edward or Team Jacob?
Oh, Team Jacob. He's like far hotter.
Oh, nice.
And he doesn't sparkle.
Yeah. No, I had them goth. I'm, apart from the fact that my skin is just pasty, I'm kind of over my goth phase now. So
who's your book boyfriend?
It is dumb because it's my own character, but Jack is my bisexual vampire from my Dark Ink Tattoo series, who's like this total disaster bi of a man who tries to do the right thing, but is always in very extenuating circumstances. And I just feel for him. And he is, I've written like 300,000 words about him, and he's always going to be just a part of my soul. So,
oh, that's a great answer. Who's your book girlfriend?
Oh, that one's easy. I do feel bad again saying my own stuff, but I guess I continue to be an asshole. Kind of like the Conqueror in my book, Am I the Asshole Actually, which is based off of the Reddit post frame, is an amazing character. She's a demoness. So basically the premise of Am I the Asshole is that there's this girl who is kind of shy and easily bullied by her boyfriend, who does love her, but he loves her in like a frat boy kind of way. Like he's never going to be on her level and she's never going to be able to verbalize her needs to him. Anyways, his friends give him a demon summoning kit for his bachelor party, essentially, and he wants to have a threesome with the demon. And they summon the demon and she's Quenelle the Conqueror. And so then Becky has to go on this journey of exploration where she figures out like that she's actually bi and that she needs to be with Quenelle and blows up her life and stuff like that.
Wow.
And Quenelle is like amazing. Like if I had ever poured all the hotness I've ever written into one character, it is into her. Like I was just like, I'm gonna turn this shit up to 11. She's fantastic.
That is so cool.
Well, I haven't read that one, but now I need to.
I want to know what a demon threesome looks like.
Me too.
It doesn't happen because Quenelle is like a gold star lesbian. She's just like,
okay.
So yeah, you can lick my boots, but no. No.
Smut or plot?
When I read, I like to have like an even mix of both. Not that I can't appreciate stuff that's just porn, and like not that I don't go back to like some scenes in certain books repeatedly, but I just need to have that moment of connection so that it feels like what's happening is meaningful.
Favorite childhood book?
I loved the Chronicles of Narnia, and I never got that they were Christian allegory, like ever.
I love those too. Still,
I never read the last book because I didn't want the series to end, and that's where the Christianity slaps you upside the head, right? Yeah, so it wasn't until I was in college and somebody said something and I was like, shut the front door. and then it made sense why my very Baptist parents had, out of all the books that they didn't like, had given me that particular book to read, that series to read, because it involved like Christian themes and stuff. So, yeah.
What is your favorite cereal?
Grape nuts.
I love grape nuts too, but I have to put a lot of sugar on them.
So I used to like grape nuts until, back in like the 80s, my grandma put Sweet and Low on them one time.
Oh, no.
And that'll ruin grape nuts for you.
True sugar all the way.
That's real bad. Yeah.
They have to be like, the ratio is almost like 1/3 sugar to 2/3 grape nut, basically.
Right.
Agreed.
So to finish out the nerdy and dirty speed round, we have a list of celebrities, and we're just going to ask hot or not, because we have some differing opinions here in our nerdiest thing of who is hot and who just looks homeless. So,
and Cassie, if you don't know who they are, just say pass.
oh yeah, just say pass.
Because my daughter was like, I don't know who that is, but she's also, not cool like we are.
Okay, so hot or not, Pedro Pascal.
Oh, hot. Who does not think that he's hot?
Me and
Come
Mindy don't get it.
These two. I'm
We don't
alone
get it.
here. I'm on the Pedro Island. They just don't get it.
Have you
You
guys
can have
not
them all
watched
yourself.
The Last of Us? He's
I'm not. So I
haven't
need
either.
to. And I've heard that's where it happens.
That's where the magic happens.
Right.
I mean, I had a crush on him just from The Mandalorian, and you barely ever see his face. So
yeah, he has a presence. You're totally
He does.
right.
Well,
He- yeah.
I heard in an interview he said he uses his bedroom voice in The Mandalorian, and I was like, aha, that's what it is.
That's how you win them over.
Yeah. Miley Cyrus,
Oh, she's also hot. Anybody who says she's not hot is lying.
Ryan Reynolds,
So I'm very queer. Yes, of course, Ryan Reynolds is awesome.
Paul Rudd,
Yeah.
Kristen Bell,
Yes. These are all very easy questions.
Sebastian Stan.
Oh my gosh, yes. Have you seen that YouTube video where he creeps on Sharon Stone?
I have.
Like they're on a talk show together,
Yes.
and he's all like, I've loved you since I was 18 or something. That's not the words, but that's like the equivalent intensity. Like he's clearly had, like, she was his like formative crush.
Well,
when
I
he,
feel
and
like
he-
anyone of a certain generation watched Basic Instinct.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And they were like, oh, well, yeah, Sharon Stone. Obviously.
so he just lays it on the line and tries to mac on her like on national TV.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Really?
I haven't
it's
seen
so
that.
hot. Yeah.
Does she fall for it?
She kind of flirts back with him, but
She does, yeah. It doesn't look entirely awkward or forced, but she's also an actress.
Right,
But, yeah.
Right.
who knows what happened backstage after after the interview. Jensen Ackles.
I'm not super familiar with Supernatural, but I do know that he's hot. Yeah.
If it tells you how much we're into Jensen Ackles, our notes for this interview are taped to him behind the ring light. We have a stand-up of him in our office.
I'm so daunted by Supernatural. It's one of those shows where I feel like at this point I should watch it, but there's just like so much, and I just
It's
just
definitely
get like
a commitment.
It is, yeah. But it's good. It's worth it. Selena Gomez.
Oh, again, super hot. Yes, of course. She's so great in The Only Murders in the Building too. So.
Ben Barnes. He is in the Shadow and Bone Netflix adaptation.
I haven't watched that
He's also in the Chronicles of Narnia.
He was in one of
Speaking
the
which,
Chronicles of Narnia
he's
movies
Prince Caspian,
a
right?
long time ago. Yeah. And he was in a season of The Punisher when it was on Netflix too.
Yeah, I think I missed all those. I know I saw the Prince Caspian Narnia, but that was like 10 years ago.
I mean, he was like 17 or something
Right.
when he made that. I mean, maybe he was like 26, but he looked 17. Timothy Chalamet.
Oh yeah, he's hot too, and he's in Dune. Come the fuck on. My dad, bless his soul, my real dad, he gave me Dune when I was 8. And that was a bad move because it formed a lot of like my expectations. I don't know, like who I wanted to be for a while there too. It was also Andre Norton, but also Frank Herbert. So yeah. Of course I would forgive Paul Atreides anything.
Tessa Thompson.
Again, incredibly hot. Yeah, she's amazing in everything she's in. So yeah.
She is. Yeah, she's great. The Rock.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I keep worrying that he's going to be a secret Republican somehow, so I just want to get picked up in the future. But for as long as he seems like a woke dude, then we're on the same length. I'm not going to kick him out of bed for eating crackers. So
Mila Kunis.
Oh my God, she's like so. Jupiter Ascending is one of my favorite movies. So yeah, I love her. Of course, yes.
Tom Hiddleston.
He doesn't really super do it for me, but again, I would go there, So yeah.
He doesn't not do it for me either.
Yeah, it's like 51%. It's okay. So.
Right, yeah. Brie Larson.
Oh yeah, she's amazing. Preferably in the outfit from Captain
Marvel.
Yeah. Florence Pugh.
Also amazing. Yeah, she's fantastic too.
And then last, Blake Lively.
Yeah, like I wouldn't hunt her down, but again, if it happened, I'd be all right.
I'm super into that guy that's also her love interest in that show, and he was on Orphan Black too.
I can't remember what his name is.
I know he needs to be in more stuff. He's hot.
But all of your answers were correct, so good job.
Come on here, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm not going to sleep with Florence Pugh."
They're lying. They're lying, Cassie.
They are. Yeah.
So I know that you have Break Her coming up in May. Do you have any other projects or events, festivals, or anything like that coming up?
No, I haven't really figured out the whole in-person thing yet for romance books. I know that like a Polycon and all that stuff are things I haven't really, as a nurse, I'm still kind of gun shy about like extraneous travel. So it's probably going to be a while in my life. And that's not about necessarily reality. That's just about me as a person. I'm not going to do anything in person. Make Her, the third book in the series, comes out in August. I'm also juggling. I know you know this, Deb, like French and Italian and German translations of those and stuff.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of like, this is Duck Cassie, but there's like all sorts of paddling below the water for stuff to make all the magic happen. But what I really want to do is like, in like, hopefully in a week or so here, have all my back end shit coordinated and then get to start writing my new thing. So that I'm really enjoying this feeling of being ahead as an author. I've never had this in my career before where I've had like all my books done before deadlines and I'm not panicking or anything. And I want to keep that up with the space that I've gained and not blow it. So
are you allowed to tell us what you're going to be working on next?
Yeah. So unfortunately for the way that my brain works, I like to do different things and genre hop. So if I were like a smart author, I would super dive into fantasy romance and I would sit there and I would make it my home and I'd just keep rocking them for forever. But in actuality, I just need to do what makes me happy. And that's how I work. So I'm going to do this Why Choose novel because I did read all those Ice Planet Barbarian books.
Have you read The Bonds That Tie, Cassie?
Huh?
Have you read The Bonds That Tie?
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's your next Why Choose novel. Trust us. There's 5 or 6.
6.
Whitney just reread them this weekend. Like, how many days did it take you to reread them? 3, right?
Well, one of my kids is sick, so I was on the couch all day yesterday and today, and I read 3 and a quarter. I'm like 25% through book 4.
They're really, really amazing.
They're good.
They are.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Who's the author of that?
Jay Bree.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll check this out for sure. Yeah. So that's kind of what I want to do, is this thing that's combines all these tropes that I really like. And it's going to be this, this girl and like 4 guys who are from outer space for assorted reasons. And of course, they have to sleep with her, otherwise they're going to die. So everything's very dire, and she has like a horrible past. Basically, I've been calling it Breaking Bad with pornography, because it's going to be like a really, really rough read. And now that I'm cool with, so like a while back with my co-author, I turned in like some stuff to her. And God bless her, it was the right thing to say at the time, but she was like, you can't do this. No one's going to read this from you right now in your career. And I was like, God damn it, I hate you because you're right. She's like, you got to get people in the door first before you can just like dive into the pit. And I was like, okay. But now that I feel like I have a foot in the door, I'm going to write whatever the fuck I want. And it's going to be insane. So yeah, it's going to be like super high stakes, super violent, super angsty, super trauma. And but everybody's going to wind up getting a happy ending and a happily ever after and stuff. So
that's very important to Whitney.
Yes, it
so I'm
is.
sure you're happy
Yes.
to hear that. She has like texted me at like 2 a.m. before and been like, what the fuck?
If I know there's a happy ending coming, then I can deal with pretty much anything in between,
I love spoilers, actually. I will be watching a show and I will look up spoilers to make sure that everything's going to be okay, because I get too anxious about the outcome otherwise, and I sit there and try to guess what's going to happen.
I don't necessarily
It's not a problem. I'm just messing with you. It's an ongoing joke.
I don't necessarily want to know exactly what's going to happen, but I like to know this, this writer writes happily ever afters. So in the end, it's all going to work out. I don't necessarily want to know like the details, spoiler wise, but there needs to be happily ever after. I gave a book 1 star recently because I loved the whole series, and then the end was like not a happy ending, and I was like, I'm done with you. You're dead to me.
I loved the ending because I don't think it should have had a happy ending. Right?
Everything should have a happy ending.
So I feel like you just have to cue stuff up going into it. Like, people have to know if they're going to trust you. Because, as you guys know, like, people want to go on those rides. They just need to know they're in safe hands. So It has to be telegraphed.
We know that you've got 2 more books coming out this year. You're working on this new series. What's the best way that our listeners can support your work?
If anybody was interested in keeping track of me, probably my newsletter, which is CassieAlexander.com/newsletter. And if you do sign up for my newsletter, then you get access to all of like the bonus material that I've done for all of my stuff. And it's not that I've written a lot of extra bonus stories, but I'm very fond of commissioning hot art. So all of my stuff has like a naughty art thing in there. So if you just want to like cruise pornography, you can sign up for my newsletter and you'll get like 8 or 9 different little things you can download and check out. So
I would say, and maybe this says a lot about my taste, I don't think they're actually very explicit. I don't know what that says about me. So I know that you're on Facebook and Instagram. Is there anywhere else people can find you online?
No, I'm on TikTok, but I hesitate to tell you. That's such an ephemeral thing, it could go away at any moment. Yeah. So probably Facebook is, but I'm never active on real Facebook. I'm only active in my group, actually. So my newsletter is safest. Okay. Or Instagram. Yeah.
So we do a thing every week on the podcast where we all tell what our nerdiest thing of the week is. And so we could give you like for the month. So what would you say your nerdiest thing that you've done or experienced this month has been?
I'm going to, again, sound like a self-aggrandizing asshole, but these very sweet people over at the 3 Little Words podcast, Nicole and Claudia and Oak, did a 3-hour episode on my Am I the Asshole book. And
oh my
I was
gosh,
just
really?
No, they tagged me on Twitter, and I'm a bad Twitter person. I don't go there anymore because I need to like maintain more calmness in my life. And so I didn't see it for a while. And then I saw it and I was like, 3 hours on this one book? No, the fuck way. But then I started listening and I was like, oh my God, wow. So that's like the nerdiest thing by far that has ever happened to me, but in a very entirely pleasant way. It was really fun.
Really cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I would love to just be online one day and someone be like, oh, I talked about you for 3 hours. I'd be like,
Right.
okay, that sounds great. Well, is there anything else that you want our listeners to know before we unfortunately have to say goodbye? Because this has been so fun.
No, I do have other interests that aren't myself. I do feel bad for. I was just like, I should make a list of other people to talk about. But
No, we're here to talk about you.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
here to talk about you.
okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
We don't want to hear about people that may not write as well as you do. So,
no, yeah, just if you're interested in Benter, check it out. People seem to like it. If you like Beauty and the Beast and you like dark stuff and BDSM magic, which is like what the cover says, then if you look at the cover and you're like, I may be interested in that, chances are you are. So
agreed.
I love the cover.
Yeah, definitely give
Yeah,
it a
it's
try.
beautiful.
It's great. And so Benter is out now, and Break Her Book 2 comes out in May, and you said Make Her Book 3 is coming in August?
Yep.
All 2023. Awesome.
Yep, all 2023.
I'm going to put those in my calendar.
Thank you so much, Cassie. We
Thank
really
you.
had fun.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.